Hi friends, in this session I am going to show the demo of spring-boot-starter-webflux using RestController. So I am going to show the CRUD operations using MongoDB. So I have started my MongoDB server, it's running on my local. So now I am going to create my Spring Boot project, new. It's not Java project, it's a Spring project, Spring Starter project. It's a Spring webflux using RestController. I'm going to add web reactive web and Mongo reactive. So Spring Data reactive MongoDB. I have added the two dependencies. I'm going to click finish. So I'm going to add the scan base packages path. Packages. com.example.demo. Now I'm going to add new package rest and then I'm going to add one DAO package DAO. So and I'm going to add one more model. That model. First I'm going to create a model naming as a student. So student has a string ID, private string ID, name, age and address. Name, address and age. I'll add getters and setters. So I'm using the @document because it's a document object. And this is ID's ID. So we have created the document student. Now I'm going to my DAO. I'm going to create student DAO. Student DAO. This is the interface and it extends the React to Mongo interface, Mongo repository, React to Mongo repository, same like normal Spring Data we were using Mongo repository. For React to it is React to Mongo repository. So we are having the CRUD repository also. For React to it is React to CRUD. Compared to CRUD, Mongo has more methods, so I'm going with Mongo repository. So it expects what type of data we are going to add and what is the ID. So we are using student and the ID is a string. and its repository. So our DAO class is ready. Now I am going to my REST class. So I am going to create the class name as student REST. Student REST service. @RestController. I need to add the import statement and the request mapping. I'm giving /student. So I need to get the my DAO. So I need to add auto while. So now I am going to write my CRUD operations. First I am going to add a method to get all my students which are there in the database. Public. It returns list of students, so it is flux students. Get students. Need to add the import statement for flux as well as student, and it's a get mapping. Now I need to return all the students who are there in my DB in the collection student. So return student dot find all. It automatically returns my flux. Similarly, I am going to get student based on the ID. I am copying this student by ID. So I am passing path variable ID. So @path variable ID. So it's a string ID. So here I am passing mono because we are going to retrieve one object, and here I am returning the response entity, because if the ID is not there we are going to return not found. So for that I am passing mono response entity. Mono. So first I need to find by ID. Find by ID. I can pass the ID, and I need to map it to response entity. Map student mono.just new response entity with body and HTTP status. Body is the student, status is HTTP status. Okay, HTTP status dot okay. Default if default if empty, we are giving not found. So I'm going to create a constant private response entity not found equal to response entity dot not found dot build. So in this method what I am doing, if I get student from my database, I am passing that. If I am not finding any student, I am giving not found. So I will format this. Similarly, I will write for inserting the record. So insert should be post mapping. Add the import statement. Create student. It is create student. So as part of request body, we are going to get the student object. Student. It is mono. Student DAO dot save the entity, that is student. Similarly, I will write for delete a particular student. So I will copy from here. It should be delete mapping. Delete student. I need to add import for the delete mapping. Delete returns the void. So DAO dot delete by ID. It returns the void. Mono void. Similarly, update the student. So update will be put mapping. So I will copy this. So it is update student. I need to add import statement. So for update, first we need to retrieve the student record, then we need to update those details. So student EAO dot find by ID. With the ID we will retrieve mono student. So now I will use flat map here to get the actual student to update that value. So I will use flat map. In the flat map I will be having the current student. So with the current student I need to set the new values. Set address equal to whatever the address passed in this student. Student dot get address. And similarly I am updating address and age. So set age equal to student dot get age. So we need to return the mono object. So what I am doing, I am going to return whatever we are going to save the current student. Dot save current student. Default if empty. Default I want to pass no response found. So for that I need to change the mono student to response entity. Mono response entity. First here I'll add map. Student new response entity, pass the student object, and default empty I'll pass not found. Here I'll put object. So I have formatted the code. If it is empty, we are giving not found. If it is mapped, we are mapping to new response entity, so that I can give 404 if that particular ID is not found when you are deleting. So now I'll save and I'll run my service. We should get some host is localhost 270, but we have not specified the database what we have to connect for the MongoDB. That's why we are getting this socket exception. So now I'm going to my application.properties and setting that values spring dot data dot mongo dot db dot database. I'm connecting to my local database, and host name port was the same. So I'm going to add my host name and port. Host is localhost, port is 27017. Now we'll try to connect. See, it was able to connect to my DB. Here is my local database. So we are not having any DB currently. Now I'm going to Postman and hit. First I'll put my one record because there is no use students in my database. So localhost colon 8080/student body is application/json. We were expecting I'm giving some ID name something like Ram, address Andhra Pradesh, age is some 20 years. Now I'm going to insert this record. So we are getting some MongoDB read timeout exception. Timeout. So let me stop my DB and start again. So I'm starting my MongoDB again. Now if I restart, it should work. I'll try to insert. Yeah, the record is inserted successfully. I'll try to insert one more record. Name something like age. I'll give some 16 years. So now 2 records are inserted. You can go to this compass and we should be able to see. So now I'll go to my get call and I'll try to retrieve all the students. See, whatever we have inserted, we were able to retrieve. So I'll get based on particular ID. 1 double. So now I'm able to retrieve as part of response entity body. It was giving the student details, status code, code value, headers, everything. We are not passing any headers, so I'll try to give some ID which is not there in the DB. So I got not found. Similarly, I want to delete the record. So I'll go with delete. I'll click. So the record is deleted. We got 200. Okay. If I go to my get and try to retrieve, we should be able to retrieve only one record. So we have only one record. So now I want to update this record. So update, we are using put endpoint. So put in the body, I am changing the age age to some 19 years and address to some other location, so maybe Chennai. So when I click send, sorry, the ID is not found, so that's why we have added default if not empty, not found, so we are able to retrieve not found. It says S2223. Let me try with this to get call. What is the ID? ID is S223. Yeah, now the user details are updated. We have updated the address and age, so it's updated. Thank you friends. If you like my videos, please subscribe my channel.